Whatever arises is suffering. And consciousness arises with the coming together of, the eye base and eye objects, comes consciousness, vijnana. Its vijnana is dependent upon those things. Vijnana, whether it's mind, coming together of the mind base and mind objects, then you get vijnana. All of these are dependent, and vijnana creates dukkha. So that makes it, should be obvious, that arahats experience dukkha. If they're conscious, they experience dukkha, which is why the Sister Vajiri, the Bhikkhuni Arahat in the Bhikkhuni Samyutta, when it was challenged by Mara about who she was, and she said, look, there is no being here. And she gave the simile of the chariot. If you take the chariot apart, there's nothing left. The word chariot doesn't go to the ground of all chariots. If you take it apart, there's nothing left. Just assemblage of parts, in the same way that this is just an assemblage of khandhas. Nothing more than just khandhas, she was saying. She was saying that all she experiences, the description of an enlightened being, what it's like. This was like an interview with an arahat. You know what they say, what's it like to be a monk? What's it like to live in a monastery? What's it like to be an arahat? And she said it's just dukkha arising and dukkha passing away. Experiencing dukkha. But knowing that the cause of that dukkha, because seeing it all as dukkha, there's no hope to try and salvage something from samsara. There's no hope of trying to salvage something from the five khandhas, some little bit of body somewhere, some little bit of vedana somewhere, some one of the sense bases, a little bit of sanya, sankhara, some little bit of mind which isn't affected by dukkha. She couldn't find any, neither could the arahats or the aryas. Because of that, just seeing the whole as riddled with dukkha, if that is your perception, it will become your view. The consequence of that view, so I'm sure you can follow logically if you haven't experienced that view, is that letting go happens. It's not that a person does the letting go. There is no one in here to do anything. Letting go happens because the cause of attachment, the craving, is seen as hopeless. There is nothing to crave for. Dukkha all the way. Why would anyone crave for dukkha? You only crave because you think there might be some happiness there. Or you think it is complete happiness, or at least mostly happiness, or a little bit of happiness. Seeing in reality, in terms of sankhara dukkha, it's 100% dukkha. There's only one consequence of that possible, which is Nibbana. Just the mind completely turns away from any hope, any wanting, any craving, any possibility that one can find anything in this world at all, or any other world, realms of form, realms of mind, realms of formless realms. You see, wherever there's consciousness, there has to be suffering. It turns away. And from that turning away, that's called Nibbana. If that is maintained, the Nibbana allows things to fade away. The whole interest in the world fades, disappears. The only interest left is... That's the end of the talk today on dukkha. Any questions, comments?
I
Okay.
just going to say there's a nice sutta which says that when you watch the arising in each of the five aggregates, you actually get a Nibbana towards Upadana.
Okay, yeah. You're saying when you watch the arising of the five aggregates, you get Nibbana towards Upadana. Yep. Nibbana towards it means Upadana stops. When Upadana stops, then the cause of five aggregates stops.
Also another point that I wanted to, about the three types of dukkha, another interpretation that was suggested, which I thought was quite interesting. Actually, sankhara dukkha is actually the dukkha which concerns the second factor of the dependent origination, rather than all sankharas. So basically, sankhara dukkha, you've got the doer there.
Okay, the sankhara dukkha, you were saying that someone suggested it was the dukkha associated with the second of the factors of the eightfold, of the dependent origination. That's actually be very interesting, because that would be that sankhara dukkha is the cause of vijnana, which is the cause of dukkha. They're rolling around each other. But that's possible as well. But the sankhara of the dependent origination being basically the doer, the chaitana, which creates the causes for future rebirth, future consciousness. Yeah, the doer, I mean that is suffering as well. The controller, the will. That's what I was referring to earlier in the talk as that craver, craving. Sort of, we want to do this. We want to try and find the sweet chili, even though we know there's no sweet chili there, just to do something. It's a craving. It's also the craving of being, because being is caught up with doing. And doing is part of being. But yeah, the doer is suffering, and that suffering is very seen. If you've always got the doer around, you can't realise just how much suffering it is. Sometimes people like to exert their will and get a lot of pleasure they feel out of cultivating their will and controlling. But all of you know in your meditation that the more you get rid of the doer, the more freedom you have. And if you can get rid of the doer completely, and you know how to get rid of the doer completely, the doer disappears in the first jhana, or actually completely in the second jhana, but first jhana most of the doer is gone. And to see that happening, just to see that also the jhanas are happy because there's no more doing. There's no more things to do, no more things to construct, nothing to seek. There's actually a sense of real contentment there, real fullness, instead of always having to do something more. Sometimes you get fed up with doing. Are you fed up with work? Going to the kitchen and cooking for the monks, or sweeping up, or building? And I'm fed up with giving interviews. Always have to do this and do that. You want to do things to get rid of things. It's marvellous to stop all the doing. Sometimes, even if you don't have to give interviews, you don't have to be in the kitchen, you don't have to clean the toilets, just sit in your hut and start doing something else. If you're not actually sitting in your hut doing it, you're just cross-legged, your mind meditating, again, more doing. Stop all this doing business. So I think it's actually a good, interesting idea that sankhara dukkha is the dukkha from doing. So see if you can stop. Thank you. I'm going to stop now.
Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddha Sangham